come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por
We
favor,
invite you, if
manténganse
you
alejados
dare,
de las
to
This here's
puertas.
a
tonight's
wild
episode
ride in the
Twist
west.
Up in this elevated travel doorless chamber.
Hello and welcome to Miles from Main Street, your Far From Disney podcast. My name is Mykhailo,
And I'm Brian,
and we're here to talk about Disney World,
but especially coping away from Disney.
which we know a lot about being from the Midwest. Here at Miles from Main Street, our preferred travel agency is Magical Vacations by Kimberly. Kimberly is a Disney expert and can handle all of your Disney planning needs. She can also plan Universal and all major cruise lines. Contact Kimberly at magicalvacationsbykimberly@yahoo.com.
And find her on Facebook and Instagram under Magical Vacations by Kimberly.
So today on Miles from Main Street, this is part 2 of my trip to Disney World. I went with two wonderful people, my brother and my sister, and we actually have them both here today. We've got Andre Naherniak and we've got Tatiana Naherniak.
Welcome, guys.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Good. We're glad to have you guys here, and I'm glad that I was able to share the magic of my Disney trip with you guys.
Yeah, very excited to talk about it tonight.
Cool. Yeah. So we already talked about kind of the first couple days, but I still kind of wanted to get your guys' input on a couple things. One of those things being the resort. So we stayed off property, and we stayed at the Wyndham, which was pretty close to Disney Springs. But as a family, I don't think we've ever done that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the coolest thing about it was the location compared to Disney Springs. Like that first day, we basically just like somersaulted back to the hotel after having a few drinks at Disney Springs for your birthday. But personally, I missed the Disney transportation. I thought that I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, really, but that is a little chunk of the magic was kind of gone with that. But I mean, it wasn't something that was like devastating. It was just, an observation, little piece of the trip. But that was my opinion about it. I liked the location, but thought it was a little less magical.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the location was super cool because I think we've never spent a lot of time at Disney Springs, and being able to most of the nights just kind of end it there was really cool. And that was just very nice for me because I think I'm the one person that hasn't spent the most time at Disney Springs, so I was just really excited about that. But I definitely agree about the transportation. Some days it just kind of threw our schedule off a little bit and did take a little bit of the magic out. So that's one thing that kind of threw a divot in our plans at times, but I definitely like the location and being near Disney Springs.
So where did you guys stay? I know you were like right across the street from Disney Springs.
Yeah, there's like a little bridge skyline walkway that leads you directly to the entrance of Disney Springs where you get your temperature checked and get let in. And it's like not even a minute walk from that bridge. It was like probably 30 seconds if you started walking in the right direction. There was one night where I led us totally astray.
Yeah. And it was definitely, yeah, Brian, it was literally like we were on the corner of, I don't even know what road that was, but it was like that corner. And then you cross the street. I think it was Buena Vista Street. Yeah. There was that corner and then you cross the street and then you got onto that, like the Skyway or whatever that was. And then you were right there. So it was super close, which was really great. And it was very cool doing that. Like Andre said, being able to spend so much time at Disney Springs was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which hotel was it though?
Oh, the Wyndham.
Okay. No, does the Wyndham has like two or something, doesn't it? Like a garden or I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not.
and so what I learned is that there's the Wyndham Garden, and then I think there's like the Wyndham Tower or whatever. So we were in the garden, so that's like the lower area. We weren't in like the big tower. The garden area is almost kind of set up like one of the value resorts, where you kind of have those like little runways next to the rooms, and the doors are kind of set up that same way. So it was kind of set up like that, and then there was the tower, which was all inside, which we never went up into because we weren't staying in one of those rooms.
So with the transportation, did you guys use any of the transportation at all?
Yeah, we did. We would basically take like a Lyft or an Uber to get to where we wanted to go. And then whenever we transitioned between places, we would do Disney transportation.
Was it typically buses then, or
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is, did it seem to take longer with all the precautions going on right now to get between places on Disney transportation?
Yeah, I think so, because they would pull off very often before picking up guests, and I would say refilling my pixie dust. But I think that was them like wiping down the bus and cleaning it before runs. So it did, I think, because of those precautions, it did add some time. Like there was one bus that we waited forever for.
I was close to like calling an Uber because like we had a reservation to go to that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was our last day. Yeah, at the Polynesian. And so we were waiting for the bus, and this was at Disney Springs. So you'd think they'd have buses coming to Disney Springs a whole lot, but they don't. So yeah, I found that pretty weird too.
That's one thing I've been hearing, is that transportation's kind of taking a while.
Yeah. Cool. So there's that kind of the same stuff that I was kind of talking about with the hotel. I thought the hotel was still very cool. And something that I want to find out too is people have been saying that, I don't know, Tatiana or Andre, if you noticed this, but the smell of the lobby when you walked in was so great. And people are actually saying that that's how the Grand Floridian smells like. So I kind of want to find out, because that was a really cool smell. And of course, that's like the first thing that like you got hit with once we got to Disney was like that smell. So it was very cool.
Yeah, there definitely was still a good amount of that like Disney magic in the hotel when you walked in, which was cool. And it was just interesting walking into not a Disney resort compared to an off resort, and just walking into it and still making it feel like you were at one of those like Disney resorts like we were before.
Yeah, didn't they have, what was this? They had R2D2 in the right by the elevators.
Yeah, I don't think it was R2. I think it was a different. It was a different droid, but we definitely took pictures with that.
Mask on though. You keep your mask on when you take pictures.
Yep. So yeah, transitioning to our first day at the parks. I know it took us a little while to get out of bed. And we ended up getting an Uber and getting out to the parks. And we got there and we were able to kind of go on a couple rides right away. But yeah, what did you guys think of Magic Kingdom and kind of some of the wait times that we had there?
I mean, we got to do like everything we wanted to and more at Magic Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with them closing early and with us taking a little bit longer to get there because we totally forgot that the Uber brings you to the ticket and transportation center. So you had to wait in the spread out social distance line and then take the monorail. But when we got there, I feel like it was just, we bypassed the Seven Dwarfs ride because that line was crazy long. But then because we did that, I feel like we were able to just like bang, 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 do rides. And I don't know, I've never done that before. And I thought that was really great that we were able to do that.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, just that first park that we were at, that we just started doing new things that we've never done before. And I think that's what COVID kind of lets you do at times because of that lower capacity, is you just get to go on some of those rides that you've never done before, and you get to have kind of those little experiences that you've never really done before.
Yeah.
What was something that you guys got to do that like was the first time or something?
It was the bear jamboree.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
It was a great time to rest my feet and be confused about singing country and bluegrass.
We also
It
did
was
the Peter Pan ride, which I've never done before, and I actually really enjoyed that one. I thought that one was very
Yeah.
cool.
I loved that ride, and I also had never done that. I thought that was great.
It
Here's
was
your little insider tip. The little lights that are in London is done with a bike chain and glow in the dark paint.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's pretty neat.
it was kind of funny too, because that line, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but that line we waited in for a while.
That was the longest.
Yeah, because it broke down at one point. And so that was funny because
sorry, it still wasn't a long wait. Didn't mean to interject, but like it just compared to all of our other walk-on
oh yeah.
waits. Yeah.
But yeah, it was still very cool to be able to go on a ride like that, and have you guys experience it, because it's one of those like quintessential like Disney dark rides. Like that is a dark ride. Like, so it's very cool. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Be Our Guest. That was the first time any of us have been there. And I gave it 2 thumbs up already on the podcast last week. And I kind of wanted to know what you guys thought.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I'd say is it's just like, it's such a cool experience, just like walking in there and just being in the castle in general. Because when you get up to it, obviously it doesn't look like this big castle that you're about to walk into, but then there's the multiple rooms that you can go in and all of that. And I thought it was really cool with the cast interactions that they were able to do. I wonder if they're able to do more when COVID isn't happening. So it would be an interesting thing to see the next time we go there, if we're able to again. But the food was absolutely great. And I think that they really spread the meal out well. When I looked at the entree, I thought that, oh, I don't know if that was going to be enough for me. But by the end of it, I was just kind of like, wow, that was a lot of food, even though I did not think it was going to be. And I really enjoyed the food as well.
Yeah, the food was really good. I kept thinking about it a while after we ate it. And I got like all seafood things. I got the lobster bisque and then the scallops, and it just all the flavors were, I think every other bite I took, I just said, wow, these flavors. But I thought the coolest thing was just being able to go in there and experience the building, because I think many trips we took to Disney, we would pass Be Our Guest and I'd be like, oh, what's that place? We've never been there. We'd be like, oh, Be Our Guest. We'll never get reservations to there. It's just like this ominous building in the back of the park that I'll never get to go into. But we finally did. And it was, I don't know if I would be willing to drop, that much money again every time we go, but I think it was a good experience and a special treat for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of said the same thing, where, I mean, it's a lot of money for one meal. I feel like you get what you pay for. Like you like just get what you pay for. You're like not getting any more. You're not really getting any less, because just the food was incredible. The ambiance is amazing. So I mean, like I'd say, yeah, like I'd pay that much to go do that. So and that's kind of what some people are saying is you're not really getting enough food. Really, that's kind of what everybody else is saying. But I definitely thought that we got enough food. If you were basing it just purely on the main course, then sure, yeah, like that. It was not a $60 steak, but based on all the things that you were able to get, I definitely thought that it was worth the money. So,
And you got extra gray stuff.
Right?
For
It
your
was
birthday.
delicious. So yeah, that was a pretty great day. Moving on to our second day, which I felt like was probably our most magical day. We got to do 2 parks. Anytime the Naherniak kids do multiple parks in a day, I feel like goes very well. So we started out at Animal Kingdom, and we actually did the Uber really, really well that day because we got in it and we were probably one of like the first 20 people in line for the parking lot. And then we were able to just run right in. So just let me know what you guys felt like when we first got in the park and we first hit those like first couple rides.
Yeah, it was honestly so cool because we went straight on to our first ride, and that was, which ride was that again?
Flight of Passage.
Flight
we
of
did
Passage.
Yeah, we did Flight
Yeah.
of Passage first, and we were, I think, the first group in that pod that we went into.
Mhm.
So that was just so cool. And that ride just in general is just one of the coolest rides in my opinion at like all the parks. And just walking straight onto that, it just like threw you straight into the world of where we were, which was really cool. And we just kept on walking onto more rides and didn't really have to wait throughout the whole day, which was really cool.
Yeah, that Flight of Passage ride is crazy. I remember the first time I rode it. It may have been because I had one of those rum drinks with the boba balls in it, and from Pangu Pangu, maybe. And I just teared up at that ride because the experience and even if you do get a little motion sickness, is so beautiful. Like you can feel what is it called? The banshee. What is the name of the creature you're riding?
You got it, Banshee.
You can feel it breathing underneath you, and just it's crazy. And then walked on to the river ride after that, and I thought that was so funny, Kylo, on that ride when the animatronic, the queen, is singing and moving around. That is it true that she fell over recently?
Yeah, it was like the week before we were there.
That is so. I thought that was so funny. But yeah, it was cool that we were just able to walk right on all of these rides that we just love and adore. And I actually think one of the coolest parts of Animal Kingdom was the like nature paths we took,
Mhm.
and going into like the bird cage, all those cool birds we saw. Like, I don't know, it was cool to experience new stuff within the parks, as well as cherishing the old.
And that's one thing I tell people all the time is that we need to go and do these trails, the Maharaja Jungle Trek and the Gorilla Falls, Gorilla Falls
Yeah.
Exploration Trail.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing. They've got such great things in there. Just seeing those gorillas, I think, are awesome. So, yeah, I'm glad you guys got to do that. And then the ones that I have not been able to do recently is the one around the Tree of Life. They got some really cool views there, and you can really get up close to the tree. So, yeah, definitely, those are some great things that you got to do.
We didn't do that one, but we did go to It's Tough to Be a Bug, and that one gets you pretty close to the Tree of Life, and you get close to all of those carvings and everything. So that was pretty cool.
The trails were really cool too, because I almost thought that they would just kind of feel like you were walking through a zoo, but the architecture is still fitting with whatever location you were supposed to stay in, which was just like beautiful. Like, I don't remember where it was, but there was like a higher up region that still looked like a setting of like, oh, I think someone said like, I want to go read a book up there. Like, so it very much didn't feel like a zoo. It still felt like the setting, like Africa, what they were trying to get you to feel like you were at.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about Animal Kingdom this time we went is just when we experienced all those new things, I felt like we've experienced almost like everything that we could when we go to Animal Kingdom. And I think it's because whenever we go to Animal Kingdom in the past, we would just do kind of the big things and hit all of those and make sure that we really get to our favorite things that we get to do. But this time it just allowed us to be able to go do those little experiences that actually are very cool.
And it was very cool because I didn't feel rushed, even though we did 2 parks in one day. I didn't feel rushed at all when we were going through Animal Kingdom, and that was because we got there so early and we just knocked out those rides that you end up waiting like an hour and a half to 2 hours for. And so that was just perfect. And yeah, I feel that same way too, where whenever we go to Animal Kingdom, we kind of like run through it and do whatever. So it was nice to kind of slow down. And that's kind of what I wanted to do for this whole trip, was be able to slow down and kind of experience some things that we haven't done before. So I was glad we were able to do that. So next, I want to talk about when we ended up going over to Epcot. This was I always feel like if you end the night at Epcot, it's always a pretty good night. And so I definitely felt like our day got enhanced a little bit by going over to Epcot. I really didn't notice much of the construction. They do a good job of keeping those walls up. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the construction got in the way of us really wanting to do the things that we wanted to do at Epcot. And I actually really enjoyed the new front of the park. And I thought that was really cool and really, really just new and open, which was very nice. But yeah, I think just the things that are under construction aren't really the main things that I would be going to anyway. So I really didn't notice anything.
Yeah, I think it was under construction the time before that too that we went, so it didn't feel too drastically different, other than the fountain was open in the middle, so I didn't notice it. Maybe I'm not observant, I don't know.
I just missed the soda store, just all those free samples of soda.
But
so
it probably would have been closed anyway,
very true,
even if it was still around. Some of those sodas were bad, though.
That was because whenever we went there, I would feed you Beverly and just be like, "Oh, this one tastes so good," and then you would drink the Beverly, and it would be terrible.
Yeah, you soda troll.
You can still get all those sodas on the rooftop of the Coca-Cola building in Disney Springs. So
okay,
then that's the thing, though, is do they pour you an entire glass of Beverly?
No, they have like sample trays. You do have to pay for it there, but you can get like a sample tray. Tammy and I went up and did that when we were there on our own, and they actually do floats of all of the different sodas, which some are weird and some are good. So it was fun.
Yeah, did we go into the Coke store at all? I don't think we did.
No, we did not.
No.
Or the new M&M store. We didn't go into that one either.
We've been to enough M&M stores at all of the other locations we've been to that I think we'll be okay. But yeah, Epcot was a highlight for me, especially because I didn't think I was going to be able to go there. And it's my favorite park. But yeah, being able to walk around the countries was really great. We didn't spend a ton of time other than really at the land in the front of the park, but really we went to the back of the park and we had a lot of fun back there.
Yeah, that day especially was one of those days that walking around the back of Epcot at the countries, my legs were just toast. And it was because we were just going back and forth from countries and just doing a bunch of different things. And then we went to Canada as well, and we did the little video thing in Canada, which was actually very fun and very cool.
Yeah, that circle vision, and that was very cool, Andre, being able to do that with you, with a fellow hockey player, because there were, I mean,
okay.
Well, actually, Tatiana, you went and sat down because your feet hurt.
That's why I laughed. I sat in the handicap section because my feet hurt so bad.
But yeah, just being able to experience that, Andre, with you, because I've always felt a pretty decent kinship with the country that is Canada because of our love of hockey. So I liked that. And then also the surprise of those two, that the actor and actress that actually did the Circle Vision show was very cool. I don't know their names, but they're the two. They're in Schitt's Creek.
They're in Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, it's the mom and dad from Schitt's Creek.
Yep.
Eugene?
Yes,
Levy?
Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy?
Yeah, Levy.
And
Yep.
Catherine O'Hara?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Because I think the last time, I actually don't think we've ever been in there, but the last time I heard, it was still like Martin Short. And he was the one that was doing that Circle Vision. So it was cool to get in there and experience that and have that little surprise, because I was expecting Martin Short to start talking about Canada. But it was those two, and it was very cool. It made me want to. I've been to Canada a couple times, but it definitely makes me want to go back again sometime soon. But yeah, Andre, kind of going back to your legs, that makes me feel. I don't think you ever really mentioned your legs. And anybody who knows my brother Andre knows that he's extremely athletic. And so he is in great shape all the time, no matter what he's doing. And so it made me happy to hear that his legs were toast, because
It made you happy?
My feet were toast. That end of that day, I could barely walk. And I felt bad for Tatiana because I think she was in an even more rough shape than I was.
It's possible.
But that was and actually, I mean, now we're going on a tangent. Here we go. That was one thing that I talked to Brian about, and I think Brian posted it on the Facebook, was that what is something that we could do about our feet? Because I feel like even after the first day, my feet hurt. And I was using the shoe, like I've run like 12 miles in the shoes that I was wearing that day before. So it was like, these should be really great shoes, but just even after that first day, my feet still hurt. So what's something, let's brainstorm. What's something you think that would help? Like what hurt the most, really?
My problem, this may be a lady thing. So I have pretty wide feet, and I think both of my sets of shoes are thinner than I'd like them in the width. And so my pinky toes were just getting smashed in my shoes. So the next time I go down, what I think I'm going to do is get a pair of sandals, like maybe Teva sandals or Adidas or Nike or something. Just have my toes out in the open and not constantly rubbing in the front of my shoes, because both of those tennis shoes came to a point, and I know my feet do not like that shape, pointed shoes at all. So that's something that I want to do next time to experiment.
Yeah, honestly, my feet were not a problem until the last park that we went to at Hollywood Studios when it rained. And it really was because of the shoes that I was wearing. And I think just those are shoes and I would wear those at Under Armour when I would work. And they're just ones that it just like feels like I'm floating on clouds, and they're the best shoes that I've ever worn. But even on that last day, my feet still just felt ripped up by the end of the day. So I think it's kind of, for me, it was like a mind over matter type of situation where I'm like, I'm at Disney. I don't care. I'm just going to keep trucking along.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we do. I know you guys follow me, and I basically like sprint through the parks. My fast walk is pretty aggressive. But yeah, it's honestly, and what Tatiana said about sandals, I've worn sandals before in the parks, and I don't know, and I had that idea for this most recent trip where, because I actually have the pair of sandals that I've had those pairs of sandals since like our 2013 trip, I think. And so I've had those sandals forever. And so they're nice and broken in. They've never, one of the things you got to be sure about is not to get sandals that are plastic between your toes, because that will you'll have no skin between your toes anymore if you do that. And so that's one thing you got to worry about. But I don't know why I decided against the sandals this trip. Maybe it was because I had been running so much with those shoes, and I was like, "Oh, it'll be totally fine. I'll just wear these shoes." But yeah, that's definitely a good idea, and it's something I want to try later on. Is just like a good set of sandals that'll let my feet breathe. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of my pain were on the pads of my feet, just because we're on our feet for so long. So. But Brian, what's your take on that? Like, have you ever had any feet issues?
I used to swear by going with sandals. I wore sandals every day the whole time I was there. But my last couple of trips, I don't know. The joke in the house right now is that we're getting old, and I try not. I mean, we're only 43. We're not old. Come on. But that's kind of the joke going around, because being in quarantine, there's nothing to do. So, but anyway, the last couple of times I've come back with some issues with my feet. So I guess I can't be wearing sandals anymore. But I know my wife did some research into it a couple of trips ago. I can't remember the name of the shoes now. A couple of different sandals that she had bought. Sanuk, that's the name I'm thinking of. Sanuks.
Oh, I love those shoes.
Yeah, she did like them. I don't know if she'd wear them again, but she did like them. So she, we've gone around with that. I'm not sure what I'll do if I get back anytime soon. So
Yeah. So our last day at the parks was at Hollywood Studios, and I feel like we got there pretty decently early. We got there at a pretty decent time, and we were able to get in. We were able to ride a couple rides right away. We were able to go on Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, and those were just walk-ons, and that was amazing. And I loved being able to do that at all these parks. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tower of Terror, because that is my favorite ride. And I did notice again that kind of like interior things felt a little different. However, I say that, and it's supposed to feel that way because they've randomized everything, not just the up and down with the ride, but they've also randomized light cues and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe it was because of the past 2 days that we got on rides so early and things were kind of different. But yeah, it's kind of weird, and I think that was like just a mind thing with me. But it definitely felt a little sparse when we got to the top, when we were moving forward out. But yeah, what did you guys think about being able to kind of walk into those rides and the beginning of the day?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the day I thought was super cool. I mean, this park is my favorite park, and especially going on Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster right away was just super cool, and just being able to walk on our favorite rides right away was just one of the highlights of that day, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after that, it just it slowed down a little bit, and it got back towards that normal Hollywood studios. You're going to wait a good amount of time for these really cool rides that you like a lot, but it's worth it because the rides are so cool.
That park seems to be a heavy hitter right now too, where like everything is popular and everything's going to have a line. It's great that you guys were able to jump on those two big ones right away.
Yeah, and one thing that I thought was really interesting is that usually we try to hit Tower of Terror like anywhere from 2 to 4 times during the day, because we're always looking at that wait time and seeing what it is for that, and maybe hitting Rock and Roller Coaster another time. But we ended up not doing that, which was kind of cool because, again, we got to look at other things of the park and go on different things that we haven't before.
Yeah, it's crazy how much they've expanded that park. Like, because Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster used to be the focal point, but now you have Star Wars Land. Batu, is it called?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you. Batu. And then you also have like Toy Story Land, which is still fairly new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was dedicated in reserving a spot for us to ride that Slinky ride. Gotta admit, forgot how short it was. So
yeah, it's and so before we get to that, we hit those 2 rides, and then we waited in line for Mickey's Runaway Railway, and it kind of started raining, and that was the first time we actually were able to really, other than putting merch into the backpack, which we did most of the time, we actually utilized our rain jackets because we had brought those to the park every day and hadn't needed to utilize them. So that was really cool to be able to slap those on, and in that line got pretty long right away. And like Andre said, right around that time was kind of when we started to see wait times that the 3 of us are pretty used to, because we tend to go to the parks around the summertime, just because that's when all of our schedules end up working out. So we're used to lines. Like, we're seasoned veterans on busy days at Disney. So we have absolutely no problem waiting in lines. But it was funny how, like, all of a sudden, like, that changed at that park, because all of a sudden it was, you got lines and you're gonna wait for stuff. And we really hadn't been, like, at all at all the other parks. So that was pretty cool. But Mickey's Runaway Railway, I thought was amazing. Just the things that they were able to do in that ride and the technology that they're utilizing, just insane. And of course, being a lighting nerd, and almost everything, I mean, it's all projection, but it's all kind of based on lighting, but just it's all so cool.
Yeah, and that is also a fairly long ride, which is really cool. But throughout, like, every single little scene that you go through, you're never like, oh, this is a long ride like some of the other older rides that have been there. So it was just a nice new thing that we've never done, and it was just really cool to get into that right away and just see something new that we haven't.
I loved Minnie on that ride. Minnie Mouse. She was a queen. The way they write her character into that ride is so fun. And oddly enough, I remember when we were at the end of the ride waiting to get off, kind of in that cute, they have like a little picnic at the end, and there's like this huge chorus singing you off, and an acoustic guitar. And I loved that. I gotta look that up because it was just like such a sweet little ending to that crazy, fun, cute ride. I really loved it.
Yeah, one of the things that I remember vividly is, and it's funny that you say this, Tatiana, about Minnie. One of the things I remember is looking at the end of that ride, and Minnie is just screaming at Mickey, Mickey! And she's like Mickey is trying to figure out what to do, and like Minnie is like fixing everything.
Yeah,
It was
there's
so
one
good.
point she just lets out a wail. Whoa, girl.
Yeah, doing that ride, I think really excited me for the new Ratatouille ride that's coming out, just because it's the same type of ride that they'll be doing, and it's like it uses the pucks, right? That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, and just doing that really excited me for that ride. So now that's the one thing that I'm really excited to go back and do at Epcot.
Hopefully we'll see that open soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Brian is super excited to go on Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Oh yeah, didn't you say it's your favorite ride? In your guys' top 10, it's one of your favorite?
Oh yeah, I probably did. I've watched videos of that ride so many times that yeah, I rank it up there as one of the top. It looks amazing. So you guys are just selling it very well right now.
That's what made me excited to ride it, because I was like, yeah, if this is on Brian's list and he hasn't even gone on it yet, this has got to be great.
Yeah, I've watched videos so many times. There are so many little things. It's one of those rides that I just like. I wish I would be able to have a day to just constantly ride it over and over again and see what I can find. So
When we end up moving to Orlando, Brian, we'll be able to do that.
there you go.
Yeah.
Then
So
you guys will have to be. Then you guys will have to call yourselves Seconds from Main Street.
terrible joke.
I had to. It's you guys' thing.
But anyways, talking about new experiences, right after that ride, I haven't even talked about getting the boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance. Anyways, right after that ride, we were able to ride Rise of the Resistance, and that was because we were boarding group 8 for Rise of the Resistance. And I'll kind of go into I'll let you guys know what I did, because this is a hack right here. It's not really a hack. It's just this is what you guys need to do. But anyways, so boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance. I woke up, I think around 6:30. I think my alarm went off at 6, and then I ignored it till 6:30, and then woke up. And at this point, y'all already know that I had no phone, of course. And so I had to grab my brother's phone. And I went outside, and I had a like a speed test, an internet speed test app on my brother's phone. And so basically what it did was I walked around the grounds of the hotel, and I kind of like was trying to find where the best strength of internet was. I think the phone was still only 4G. My brother's phone is one of the newer phones that has 5G, but I couldn't find anywhere. But where I found the best connection was kind of like it was outside, and it was out in front of the hotel. And as soon as I found that, I just kind of parked myself there and just waited for 7 o'clock to hit. And so what I did, I'll go into detail because you guys need to know this. So you go into the app and you want to go into join virtual queue. And Rise of Resistance is going to pop up, and it's going to say not currently boarding or something like that. And so what you can do is you can stay in there, and you can pull down on the bottom of the screen, and it'll actually refresh for you. So what I did was I sat there, and right around like 6:58, I just started refreshing. And some people swear by using a clock next to you and like refreshing like on the seconds or something like that, so that you refresh right the second that it pops up. But I didn't have that. I just had one phone, and I was sitting there and I was refreshing. And I wasn't even at that point, when I started refreshing, I wasn't looking at the time anymore. And it was kind of funny because this was so important. I had so much on my mind. I was so frustrated from not having a phone. And I almost couldn't focus. It was so high pressure for me. This was so important to actually get a boarding group. So I'm sitting there and I'm refreshing. I wasn't looking at the time. I was just looking at it refresh. And finally, a green button showed up. And that's what's going to happen is there's a green button that shows up that says join. You hit join. And a question that I had for people was whether or not I had to select the people in my group, because I was like, that's going to slow me down. I'm not going to want to have to do that. And something people were saying was if you get in there and you get the boarding pass and there's some people that not on it from your group, then they can add you later when you get to the parks. And I was like, cool, I'm not going to add anybody. I'm just going to skip that part and just keep mashing buttons until I get a boarding group. However, what happens is anybody who's automatically selected in your group that have tickets will automatically be selected to that. So you don't have to stop and select people. It'll automatically do it. So if there's people on there that aren't supposed to be on there, I guess you can take them off. But if you're getting a boarding group, and you've got all those people connected to your My Disney experience, it's probably all the same people that are going to be going anyways. But I just hit that button and then I hit next and then I waited and boarding group 8 popped up. It was probably the easiest thing I'd ever done for the most important thing. It was and I almost started crying. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I went through all this stress. I had worried for months before this that we weren't going to get a boarding group. I would stay up in bed with my eyes wide open, it's gonna be fine. If we don't get one, I'm not gonna be sad. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. And but we got the boarding group. I think I did cry a little bit, but yeah, it was just nuts. But that's what I would suggest is find the best area with internet, keep refreshing that join page, wait till everything pops up, do all that as quick as you can, and then you should be good. Because if we got boarding group 8 and this was our first ever time, then you guys should be fine. But yeah, that experience alone on our trip was just amazing in being able to get that. But yeah, and then just there's that. I just talked for 5 to 10 minutes about just getting a boarding group, and we're not even talking about the ride yet. But Andre, I know both Andre and Tatiana, I know you guys are big Star Wars fans. But Andre, what did you think about the ride itself?
Yeah, you just walk into that ride and you are 100% transferred into the world of Star Wars. And I think it's just so cool how the ride starts just right away, basically. And then you get transported to a different area, and then you're on another part of the ride. So it's just it's so cool, the crazy amount of detail that they put in to make you seem like you are legit not on the planet Earth anymore, and that you're out in space and you're in Star Wars. And it was just so cool leading up to the ride that the ride was even cooler itself, and just the realness of feeling like you were actually in the movie was great.
Yeah, it was really great being able to. It was right when it started raining was when we were able with our boarding group to go find shelter and get in line. And I had ridden this ride in California, and it's the exact same setup. Still so obviously so cool to go on it again. But with how you described getting that boarding pass, I'm really so shocked that we weren't boarding group number 1. That's crazy. But even boarding group 8, that's insane. I think I was boarding group, I was in the 100s when I was in California because the app kept crashing. But Yeah, I think my favorite part about that ride is just how massive the warehouse you're in is, and how, like, technically, when you're on that ship at the beginning, you're still kind of waiting in line. You're really just like being transported, and it's a clever way to keep you in the universe. And even the people helping you board are all acting like, if they're kind, they're on your side. But then you had some people being just like total jerks to you, which they're supposed to, because you know we were prisoners, right? Did I get that right? Okay,
Yep.
good. I followed the storyline correctly. But that large warehouse and those giant set pieces, like, crazy, just crazy.
Yeah, those big AT-ATs that we rode by, they were in there, just insane. Like, I thought that was the coolest thing. And then walking into that big room that had all those stormtroopers, and something I noticed too that I told you guys was, when I've seen pictures, I thought those were all just super, like, stationary stormtroopers. If you look closely, they're all moving a little bit, like just the little details in that alone, because it would be super easy for Disney to just put a bunch of just non-animatronic stormtroopers just like in a bunch of lines, and people would still like lose their minds because of everything else that's going on. And then they're moving around like like that's so cool, that like those little details that they gave you. But yeah, like, and Andre hit the nail on the head. Both of you guys mentioned it, where you're getting transported and you're basically still in line. But it's like you're in the ride already, so like things are already happening. And yeah, just insane. And I would have to say, Brian, when we do another top 10, the Rise of the Resistance definitely number one. Just, it's like, how can it not be? Like, oh my God, best. And I know, I'm into other parks too, other than Disney World. I know, sacrilege, I know, but I would say this is the best ride I've ever been on, period. And I mean, I'd put a bunch of those Harry Potter World rides pretty high on the list too, but like, it just blows it out of the water. It was just insane.
Yeah, we got off and I was like, hey, is that your number one on your top 10 now?
Yeah. Yep. So that was really cool. Just really, really cool is an understatement. That was amazing. So the next thing we did, it's cool because it kind of, the rain kind of started to lighten up. Actually, no, it didn't. We went and ate first. And that's kind of usually when it's raining at Disney World, that's what you want to do. You want to go find a place to sit and eat. And we did that. We definitely followed our own advice. And I was able to get, at MEC Commissary, I was able to order some food there. And that was great. Because I've eaten there before, and it kind of feels like a normal cafeteria, but it's actually supposed to, because it's the cafeteria that is at 30 Rock. So I think that's cool. I love 30 Rock. I've been there a couple times. I think Andre and I went there the last time we went to New York. So it's just a really cool place to go. But we had some food there, and we ended up, I think while we were sitting there, I noticed that Slicky Dog Dash was like a 20-minute wait or something. So I was like, let's go. And we threw our food away and we ran over there. And by the time we got in line, it was a 30-minute wait. And I was like, that's fine. Like, we can totally do this. And then over the loudspeaker, we heard that the ride was broken down. And so we decided we were going to wait for a little bit. And this is, we're going to talk about this because it's a good thing to talk about, and it's good to kind of understand that like every so often this happens in on trips and stuff, especially with families. But I did not want to wait in line. I was like, no, like, we need to keep moving. We need to keep this all going. And Tatiana was the rock. Tatiana wanted to wait in line. She thought it was the best idea to do that. And being the type, I'm not the type of person that will fight, but I will get a little perturbed and shut down a little bit. So I apologize to you guys. But that's kind of what happens is it's not all flowers and rainbows at Disney all the time. And it's funny because as Disney enthusiasts, we're pretty good at making do and making sure that like everything's like in line and like everything's nice and organized. And this was the monkey wrench that just like like brought everything to a screeching halt. But Tatiana, when it came down to it, made the correct decision because we ended up being able to walk into line where the line is supposed to start and join Tatiana. Andre and I ended up going on a couple adventures, side quests, if you will, into Star Wars Land, Batuu, to go see if we could get a reservation for Olga's Canteen, which we couldn't, of course. And then we went over to the Lightning McQueen's show. I don't even know what it's called. But right when we were there, Tatiana texted, like we were in the ride, and Tatiana texted us, and she was like, "We're moving. I'm at the front of the line." And so we were like, "Oh God!" And so we ran over there. We were able to get onto Slinky Dog Dash, and then everything was a lot better because like the day was moving again. But definitely Tatiana made the right call with staying in line. And so I applaud her for that. Good job.
You're welcome. It was good for me because I was able to, like, my feet were kind of just starting to really hurt at that point. So I was like, this is great. This will just give me a moment to chill for a little bit. And I called my boyfriend. So it was fine for me to chill there. I was happy to do it.
Yeah. And I kind of noticed that. So like I was okay with it. And I think for me, that whole thing was that like, I'm just so used to going, and like going and doing, and especially the whole, like everything we had leading up to that, we were able to just go and go and go. So, we were able to ride Slinky Dog Dash. And then after that, we ended up, I think we went into Star Wars Land at that point, Batuu. Andre was like heart set on finding a Baby Yoda. So we actually ended up walking into most of the shops there. And you actually needed to wait in line to get into shops there. So that took a little bit. And then Andre, you were really into merchandise there. What were some of the things that you saw?
Yeah, I mean, like the first thing I think your mind goes to when you go there is the lightsabers. And I was like, I would love a lightsaber, but I don't have the money for it. So I decided against that. And I think the biggest thing I was looking for was the Baby Yoda stuff, because when I was walking around, I noticed a lot of similar things that we've seen before when we were there before. And the kind of sad thing was that line to get into kind of that main street part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just took a while, and we didn't really see anything in those shops that we kind of were drawn to, which kind of sucked. But we ended up going to all the other shops, and it's just really cool how they turn Star Wars memorabilia type of stuff into all of this merchandise that you can get. And I think just anywhere from like the costumes that they have all the way to just the little things that you can add to your lightsaber if you want to do that at some point. So yeah, it's just so different than the rest of all of the other parks, and all the stores in the other parks is why I love going to the stores in there.
So it was at this point that actually this is another story of the saga of this day that I have. But all of a sudden, at one point, I couldn't use my credit card. And this is important because whatever card you guys have set for your My Disney experience, that's what card it's going to charge for all of these meals that you end up doing. And I was totally cool with that because I had a decent amount of money in my account. I was able to just use this one card and just put all of our meals onto it. But all of a sudden, that card wasn't working. I think Andre, you really wanted some blue milk, and even that's the thing. Even for blue milk, you have to pre-order that stuff. You have to do a mobile order for it. And so all of a sudden, my credit card wasn't working, and I think for Andre, we actually ended up putting a different credit card on the account, but I wanted to because I had a bunch of money in there still, and so I knew for sure that my bank had flagged me because I didn't tell them I was leaving. However, I was in Orlando for like 3 days prior, so now all of a sudden they're gonna turn my card off. So I was none too happy about that. So I let Tatiana and Andre go into a different shop, and I was on the phone with some lady from my bank for a little while, trying to get them to turn my card back on. And then one of the main reasons I was kind of worried was because I didn't have my phone to be able to check my bank account. And then this is terrible, but I couldn't remember my password for my bank account because I use facial recognition all the time for that on my phone, which is terrible. I know. So like I even couldn't on either of their phones like sign into my bank account because I didn't have a phone. And so while I was on the phone with that lady, I was like, by the way, how much money is my account? And then she told me, and I was really happy because it was a lot more than I thought I had. So that was great. That was like the perfect little boost that I needed to kind of like keep the day going because that was just a frustrating couple of events for me. But I mean, we were able to regroup and get together and make a pretty great day out of it. So yeah, honestly, like the rest of the day for me is like a blur. Like I can't like, oh yeah, we got in line for Smuggler's Run. And each time we've gone on Smuggler's Run, we've waited forever for it. So again, of course, we waited forever for Smuggler's Run. But yeah, like, I mean, past that, I can't remember what we did.
Yeah, that night, I think that was the night we went to Pandora, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
That was probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a highlight that last time we were in Pandora, we didn't stay and see all the lighting and the neon and all the different colors that were happening at night. So that was a really cool experience. And using my new phone with my new camera, it was really cool getting some of those pictures of that and just having the memories of all that cool lighting and everything they do with Pandora at night.
Mm-hmm. And I'd have to say the savior of this day was always Tatiana because she had all the things that she wanted to do that day were like right on. And so having us go to Pandora that night and see those lights, because Tatiana was just adamant that like she wanted to do that. And actually being able to go there and like experience all that was like the best cap on that day. Like it was so great.
Yeah, that's what our original day at Animal Kingdom, because we didn't have the park hoppers at first. I didn't realize that Animal Kingdom closed at 5. So I was like, the lights, how am I supposed to see the lights? But then we were able to hop back over there after Hollywood Studios and make my Pandora dreams come true. So, yeah.
It's definitely a land that you need to plan to visit twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife tells everybody that whenever they're talking about Disney, and I have a picture of her taking a picture because she couldn't stop taking pictures when we were in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. That's also what I did to my brother, because whenever we'd walk by something or something like that, I'd be like, "Hey, take a picture of that," because I wasn't able to do it. That's usually me. I'm usually got my phone out and I'm kind of like taking all these pictures. And I've noticed I don't take pictures of us, and that's kind of funny because whenever we have our mother with us, that's where her mind goes, is let's take pictures of ourselves in these areas. And I'm always taking pictures of the areas. It's just like, this is so cool. But and it's funny, the older I get, the more I want to see us in the pictures. So like now all of a sudden I'm mom, where I want to actually see us in these pictures. And so that was probably the coolest thing, is we have a couple pictures like that that we have of us there, and those are probably the pictures that I like the most. So yeah. Cool. Well, our last day was spent resort hopping. I'm doing air quotes right now. Resort hopping. It didn't turn into resort hopping. It turned into let's go to Art of Animation, and then take the gondolas all the way to, was it Caribbean Beach? And then from there, we tried to take a bus back to downtown, or back, I say that all the time, back to Disney Springs to be able to catch a bus to the Polynesian to be able to make our reservation. And that's something that I'd never ridden the gondolas before. So I was unaware that like you're going to have to wait in line for those things. Like there was a line at Art of Animation for the gondolas. So that's another thing that I would suggest, is understand that like you're not going to be able to just run onto these things and just like hop from station to station, because that's like what I thought you'd be able to do.
Yeah, and that's a COVID thing. The lines are longer for the gondolas during COVID because every group gets their own car.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's longer. Because when I went on it, we went there as a family the last trip that we went on, and I was the last person left at Disney. Everyone left before me, and I went and just walked onto the gondola every single time. But I was with a family every time I went on.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was that definitely took away from our plans. I was definitely planning on going to a lot more resorts. And it's funny because we started at Art of Animation, and that's a place we've been to before. But we love it. I feel like Art of Animation is definitely my favorite value resort. So it was nice to be able to walk through all of that. And it definitely gave us the sense that, we just need to stay on property because just being able to walk through the magic in there and be able to experience that is just worth it. Just take my money. So we were able to eat at the Polynesian. We ate at Kona Cafe. It was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's amazing. And I think it was because I was super hyped for these wings, because people were saying that these wings were amazing. But it's because I wanted the wings from Ohana, and people just love those. And people were saying like they're basically the wings from Ohana. If that's the truth, then it's possible Ohana is kind of overrated. But I'm gonna wait because I still feel like I wanna go there and experience a lot of this. But I mean, I just wasn't too blown away by Kona Cafe at all. It was cool to be able to like go to. I think I mentioned this at one point with Tatiana and Andre. It was cool to go to the Polynesian for a reason. We usually just kind of show up there and just like ooh and ah over like the Polynesian because it's so great. But it was cool to go there like for a reason, because we have a reservation.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the food was pretty good. I think whenever you go somewhere in Disney, whether it's a Disney resort or the Disney parks, you never can really go wrong with what you're going to eat for the most part. And it's not something that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go here every time that I'm in Disney. But it was definitely a cool experience just being at the Polynesian and just experiencing something at the Polynesian, like you said, Kylo, and just being there for a reason, which was cool.
I liked that you could enter, it was someone's birthday. So you got a really nice birthday treat spread at the end. That was great.
Yeah, and that was the first time. I think I had mentioned on the podcast before that each day that I was at the parks, I had my "It's my birthday" pin on, and so pretty much everywhere I went, even at Disney Springs, people were like "Happy birthday!" So like my entire trip, people were saying "Happy birthday" to me. And actually, I had it on my backpack at one point, and I put it on Andre, and people were telling him "Happy birthday."
Yeah, that was great. I was like, I feel powerful for these few moments that I have the backpack on.
But that was the first time, other than the extra gray stuff at Be Our Guest, that was the first time I really got like a birthday thing. And that was like a platter. Like there was a lot there. And I had already, because this was the end of our trip, and I had eaten a lot. And anybody who knows me knows I recently lost a lot of weight. So like eating was kind of important to me because like that's kind of where a lot of my weight comes from, is overeating. So at that point, all of a sudden I was like, you know what? It's the tail end. And we've got this one meal. I'm going to make sure I eat a little bit better. And then they brought me a plate, just like this platter of sweets. And I was like trying to pawn them off on my brother and sister. And I was like, you guys have to have this one. But yeah, that was nice that, like that was like the first time I like legitimately got something for my birthday. So that was cool.
All right, so we got to talk about my Gideon's cookies. You didn't bring me back by Gideon's cookies.
And I hang my head in shame because I should have known, of course, the draw of Gideon's. And this was on a Sunday too that we tried to get those cookies. But it's like 6-hour waits for these things. And so I think we got back to downtown Disney around like 2-ish. And we had to leave around 6. So I was like, we might have to wait a while, but like we'll probably get something. And we walked up and we asked how long the wait was, and they were like, "Oh yeah, be back here around 9:00." We were like, "What?" And this was at like 2 p.m. So it's Brian is gonna have to do what I couldn't do and bring back Gideon's cookies the next time he goes.
Whenever I get to go.
Whenever that is. Brian, you and I should plan a trip together at some point. I think that would be really great.
That would be fun.
Right? But yeah, there was just not that was one of the down points. Was I was actually really looking forward to getting Gideon's cookies, especially because like Tatiana, you would have loved the inside of Gideon's. It's so creepy, and it's got a little bit of that like steampunk creepy vibe to it. But I mean, and the same thing with Edison. We didn't end up going to Edison, but I mean, we went to Epcot, so it's a pretty good trade-off. So those are two things I want to make sure that we do next time we go. Which honestly, I think probably will be next year, just because of COVID and everything. Just kind of like let it run its course, and not COVID, but like everything that's happening. And especially with the 50th and everything. So I'm thinking probably in a year we go again. However, I do want to hit Disneyland at some point when it opens back up again. I think that'll be a pretty easy trip. But I was pretty happy we went, and I was happy that I was able to bring you two with me. And it was definitely a magical trip. And I'm glad that we were able to do all the things that we were able to. And I'm looking forward to many more trips with you guys because you guys are my partners in crime when it comes to Disney World. So
Thanks for joining us, guys. It was great being able to talk to you again.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for you guys tonight. Come join us again on Miles from Main Street.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on iTunes and subscribe. Email us at milesfrommmainstreetpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, and visit us on Facebook under Miles from Main Street. We'll be bringing more to you weekly and look forward to talking to you then.
Until next week, remember,
some live close,
but most of us don't.
So let's talk about it.